Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast, episode number 96. Kirsten Godfrey, the Kentucky Huntress. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
Hey, this is Dr. Carl Miller, and you're listening to my favorite hunting podcast on the internet, the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast.
Hello, fellow hunters. This is Carrie Zilka from the Wild World of Carrie Z podcast. You know, I don't always listen to other hunting podcasts, but when I do, I listen to the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast. Stay hunting, my friends.
Hey, this is Mike Adams from the Up North Journal Podcast, and you're listening to the Big Buck Registry Podcast with Jay and Dusty.
Welcome to the show. This is Jay Scott, your host of the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast, and I'm also joined by the Buckeye, the deer naming master from Ohio, Dusty Phillips. What's happening, Dusty?
Just another great show right here at the Big Buck Registry Deer Hunting Podcast. Man, I'm honored to join you, Jay, and I'm hoping that everybody that's tuning in is amped up, jazzed up, and ready to hear another great show with us.
I'm always pumped up to be on the show, and I love talking deer hunting because I love deer stories. God, I love deer stories. You know what else I'm pumped up about is the new thing we've got going on over there at the outdoorpodcastchannel.com, and you can find us on iTunes as well, and that's it's a show every single day, an outdoor show, whether it's turkey hunting, it's general hunting, it's fishing, it's deer hunting. There's one new show minimum coming out every single day, outdoorpodcastchannel.com. That is what I'm amped up about, man.
Absolutely. You know, Jay, the new thing is female huntress. It's getting stronger every year.
One of the biggest growing segments of the outdoors right now, lady hunters.
It's amazing. You know, it's one of the things where we see it. We see the activity that the lady hunters are putting on their social media and the nice deer that they're harvesting, the turkeys, the fishing, and the gun shooting. We see all that. You know, we recognize that the female hunter is coming strong. No, we support that. You know, it's one of the things where it's overlooked because, you know, at some time for a while there that it was dominated by male hunters.
Right.
And now we need some more lady huntress to get in the field and do some more hunting, fishing, trapping, shooting, cover the whole spectrum of the outdoors.
Yeah, I think there are lady hunters coming into the field all the time. And I think it's also, I mean, I can actually point specifically to days where we have almost nothing but ladies that have killed big deer across the country that have submitted their photos to the Big Buck Registry to be hosted on and shown on our Facebook page. That we have days like that.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So I know it's becoming a more and more popular thing to do, and it's the outdoor world is definitely welcoming to all ladies. And this thing we do call hunting has no boundaries. It is for everybody. So,
yeah, it's one of the things where we, as a deer hunting podcast, want to bring the lady hunters on the show and talk about their hunts.
And there's nobody that I can think of that would be better suited for this because she knows everybody. She almost represents Lady Huntress by herself in a lot of ways. And she wears that proudly. I mean, she is passionate about the outdoors. She's more passionate than a lot of just guys I know. And I love her for it. She's awesome. Kirsten Godfrey, the Kentucky Huntress, is joining us on the Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast.
Holy smokes.
Holy smokes. Last time we bumped into Kirsten, it was at the ATA, and she's got this vibrance about her. I love it. It's infectious.
There's an energy there like no other.
Yeah. very infectious, makes you feel good about yourself just talking to her. And she's just happy all the time. And she's one heck of a good hunter. She's a fantastic deer hunter. She's a fantastic turkey hunter. And lives in central Kentucky where big deer roam. And
she's full of knowledge, Jay.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. It's a lady hunter that's full of knowledge about the outdoors.
Right. Now wait till you hear just her story about how she goes about her daily routine. You swear she's been she hasn't been doing it her whole life. There are parts of her life where she wasn't hunting, but you'd swear that she's just all in, and that's because she is.
Hey, before we get the show started, bigbuckregistry.com/sponsor. Jay, tell us a little bit about that.
Brand new thing we've just come up with. If you are in the outdoor industry, if you have a product that you think would be an excellent product to bring to the deer hunters out there, to our Big Buck Nation, we have created a spot for you to sponsor the Big Buck Podcast now and get your product shown to hundreds of thousands of listeners and get exposure to bring your product to market like no other. A podcast is a very powerful thing. People listening to a podcast are diehard loyal deer hunters, and there would be no better place if you have a product for deer hunters than to highlight it right here on this show, and for very short money. It will probably be the best value you can ever bring to your business. And all you have to do is go to bigbuckregistry.com/sponsor. You can read about all of our rates and what we have devised for you to get some great coverage on the Big Buck Podcast. Now, just one thing I need to note is that we're not taking everybody. These products that we're going to review have to be the best of the best, and there has to be a benefit to our listeners. Otherwise, we're not interested. But if you think there's a fit and you have something you want to show off and bring to the deer hunting industry, this is a great place to do it. bigbuckregistry.com/sponsor.
Jay, let's get Kirsten on the phone.
Let's do it. Kirsten Godfrey, welcome to the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Last time we bumped into you was at the ATA show.
Yes, it was. Been a while. A couple months.
Well, yeah, and you were out there sporting on the display floor and hanging out with some really cool archery targets, as I recall.
Yeah, I was at the Reinhardt booth, and that was a really fun booth to be at. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, you seem to have a lot of friends in the outdoor industry. Is that accurate?
I do. I have a bunch of wonderful friends in the outdoor industry. Every year I go to the ATA, and you just meet more and more people, and every year it's just like a huge, family reunion, and you keep meeting more people. So it's always great going back to the ATA and meeting new people and seeing familiar faces.
Gotcha. Now, that's not the only thing you do, though. What do you do when you're not doing outdoorsy stuff?
When I'm not doing outdoorsy stuff?
Yeah.
That's not very often.
No.
I work full-time.
Okay.
I work at Tractor Supply. I'm in birth management there, and I've been there for about 6 years now.
Okay, gotcha.
Pretty much, if I'm not at work, I'm doing something outside, whether it be fishing, hunting, scouting. There's always something that I'm doing outside. Even if there's not a season, there's always coyote hunting or something to do. So I'm always busy outdoors.
I want to add a little something to that there. What kind of cattle do you guys raise?
I have mini cattle, miniature Herefords.
There we go. Miniature Herefords. Pretty unique.
Yeah, they're awesome. They all have names, and they're great.
Oh, there's a term we have not yet heard on the Big Buck Podcast. Miniature Herefords.
What?
Right.
Miniature Herefords?
Nobody's ever said those exact words on this show before. Ever.
Well, now you have.
Well, there we go. It's another first. That's awesome. So, okay, so you're a Tractor Supply person, and but your passion is clearly outdoors. And, I mean, you get around to a lot of different places as I watch you on Facebook, and quite frankly, you come up in my feed a lot, and that's how the world works these days. So how do you work full time and still get out to do all these shows and still find time to be outside doing the thing you love in the first place?
Well, I do work very hard at work. My boss notices that, and I actually have to give him props. He is an excellent boss. He's very lenient on me traveling and stuff, but I also make sure when I'm at work, I get all my hours in that I'm supposed to, and that I go the extra mile to do what's required of me. But if it's something that I love to do as much as hunting, and I don't think I love anything else more than hunting, you find time to do it. It makes me happy. Even if I work an 8-10 hour shift, right after work, if I've still got a little bit of daylight, I'm going out to a property that I have permission to hunt on and just enjoying the sunset, looking at deer, looking at turkey, just seeing what else I can find. So it's very much a part of me. And if someone loves something enough, they'll find time. No matter if you work 90 hours a week or 10 hours a week, you're going to find time.
Where does that come from? I mean, not everybody is born into an outdoor lifestyle. And certainly some people that don't even embrace it. Certainly know many people whose family is big outdoors family, but it's the last thing they want to do. How did you get into the outdoor lifestyle and wanting to be outdoors? Did you learn it from a very early age? Was there somebody that kind of got you involved in it? Where does this come from?
Well, it's kind of funny because I'm one of those people that were not born into the outdoor industry or into just hunting in general. I was born in Arkansas. My dad is military, so I'm a military brat.
Okay.
We did a lot of traveling. We were stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky before we went to Germany for 6 years. And that's pretty much where I spent 6 to 12 years old, was over in Germany. So I missed, a lot of the child age where, kids are kids running outside and stuff. Like I lived on a military base. A lot of people, they kind of think I'm from Pluto whenever I tell them I'm from Germany, or I have lived there for 6 years. But I'm a military brat. So my dad, while we were here in Fort Knox the first time, when I was just a little bitty thing, he would take me fishing. And I think that's initially where the seed was planted. I like to say that. I very much enjoyed being on a boat with Dad. I loved fishing. I caught my first fish. We'd catch little crappie, little panfish. So initially that's where the love started. Then I went to Germany for 6 years and was kind of taken away from it. But I think it was about middle of 7th grade, we moved back to Kentucky, and pretty much the roots just picked right back up where they left off. I heard kids talking about hunting and, what they did on their weekend, four-wheeling and fishing and all that stuff. And I told my dad, I was like, I want to do this. And, just like so many other things where kids, they pick up a hobby and they never go through with it. Or, like me, I played drums and I didn't stick with that. And then, just it's something that kids do. They find something and they find something they want to stick with. Well, hunting was that for me. So he told me to, find some friends that like to hunt and turkey hunt, deer hunt, whatever it may be. And I went out and I got my first turkey. That was the first thing I had ever hunted. And if you asked me today, turkey hunting, I very much so love deer hunting, but if I had to pick, I would pick turkey hunting. Absolutely.
Gotcha. It is fun. Turkey hunting is fun. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. But deer hunting is very, very close to the heart as well. I got my first turkey and I got my first deer, and it was just something that I absolutely enjoyed doing. It was fun. I learned. It's one of the things I really like about hunting is that you never fully learn everything. It's always, you're learning something all the time.
Very true. Yeah, it's a never-ending process. It's a lifelong affair, really, too. It's not something that it's going to be here and gone tomorrow. It's usually once you're in for life kind of thing.
Yeah,
yep.
It's awesome. You really connect and you bond with it, and, like just animals and just watching them. I really enjoy putting out trail cameras and getting to know the deer on my property or the turkey or whatever little critters are running around. You get unique deer and you start naming them, and you learn how old they are.
Right.
You learn their every move, where they sleep, where they eat. It's you become the animal and you become part of them, and it just is so much more. It means so much more, when you make it personal like that.
I got to hear some of these deer names.
I'm sorry?
I got to hear some of these deer names.
Deer names? Oh. Well, let's see. They can go anywhere from just something simple like Super 8. One of my deer that I harvested 2 years ago, I named him Dracula. He had a beautiful rack on his right side, and on his left side, he had this huge spike. Like, wasn't even another side of an antler. It was just a huge, like, 11, 12-inch spike. It was ridiculous, and it looked like a dagger, so I named him Dracula.
Nice. Great name. You have a gift that I think Dusty has as well about naming bucks. That's pretty cool. So I take it that there wasn't much hunting to be done in Germany. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I didn't do any kind of hunting at all in Germany. I just really, looking back on it, it's kind of vague looking back at my childhood, just moving around a lot and, just being a normal kid, but not having the outdoors activities that I did when I moved back to Kentucky.
Gotcha. Do you have who you would say is a hunting mentor? Is there somebody that helped you understand the woods more than somebody else?
That one's a good one. Getting started, I just went with friends in high school. A lot of people, they have their grandpa or their dad that, took them by the hand and taught them everything they know about hunting. But really, I had myself to learn from because it was something that I wanted to do besides just listening to friends. I read magazines. I watched YouTube. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It was just something in my gut that I wanted to just die hard hunt and be outside. And, just the more you're out there, the more I learned about it. But I didn't have anyone in particular that really showed me the ropes. I have a lot of people and friends to this day that have taught me numerous. So it's a lot of people. It's not just one.
Okay, gotcha. Is there somebody that you admire the most in the outdoor industry?
That's another good question.
I know.
I've just met so many great people over the years, just ATA and NWTF show. There's quite a few people that I look up to. Of course, the bigger names like Eva Shockey, Jana Waller, Brenda Valentine is another big one that I adore her. A lot of the big names, they have, a lot of my respect, but there's a couple people that are just, I won't say they're nobodies, but they're my friends, and they enjoy hunting as much as I do, and we just, we'll meet up and hunt and travel all over the U.S., so they're my biggest inspirations or my personal friends.
And who are these friends that are inspiring you?
I've got a couple. I'm going to give them a little shout out. My buddy Chris Hunt, he is just awesome. I love that guy to death. He's a turkey killing machine if you ever saw one. He's probably one of my first good friends in the hunting industry.
Gotcha. And what does Chris do?
Chris, he is he just likes to hunt. He loves to travel, and he's very, very successful at all the hunts that he does. He pro staffs for a couple companies, and he represents Badlands, just like me. So a lot of these people that I really admire, or like on the same pro staffs as me, like Badlands, all those guys, I can't even say enough good things about them. They're so incredible.
And anybody else that comes to mind? No? Okay.
I got to think.
No, it's okay. So tell me about, this pro staff thing. I can't help but notice that it seems like everybody becomes a pro staffer for something. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Is that kind of strange to you, or is that just kind of part of the industry?
Part of it, I would say, is part of the industry, just because there are so many products, and there's so many great products out there. And, some of the best products are some of the things that you've never heard of before. And, some of these very small companies, they just find a couple people that they believe in and that believe in their product. And they just give good faith that they'll put out their name. I have started out with just a couple pro staffs and just put out good words and, just using the product, using it in the field and just giving feedback. And that's, a lot of people respect that true honesty with new products. And, it's pretty much just how the name gets out there. A lot of people just promote. I wouldn't necessarily say pro staff, There's this kind of an overused term, but just people that promotional staff.
Okay, so pro doesn't necessarily mean professional. That might more mean promote as opposed to professional. So
I mean, there are some companies that use pro staff that are professional, but pretty much all the things that I do, they are companies that I wholeheartedly believe in. I love the people behind the product, and I pro staff for them as far as promoting and getting their name out there.
Okay. So this term pro staff that seems to be thrown around, like just everybody uses it for something. So I'm on the pro staff of this, I'm on the pro staff of that. So pro staff doesn't necessarily mean you're on their professional team, but that you are on their promotional team trying to help them promote products that you believe in.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, there are some, like Badlands that I am with, they do have an actual pro staff, and they pick like 20 people worldwide, and I'm one of the 20 that they picked, and they have these 20 people, and they're just, all the rest of the people that I've met, we're truly a Badlands family. They are so awesome. Most of them are out west, so I'm really jealous of all the mule deer and elk and stuff that they have out there.
Right.
But these guys are top-notch hunters.
Now, Badlands is a badass company. I mean, their products, if you've ever played around with them, they're awesome. And they throw one heck of a good party at the film festival at the ATA.
Yes, that was really fun. And all those guys that did films, I mean, they worked their butt off for those films. They were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Jason Matzinger, he had one, and I cried on it. It was so good. It was the best, hands down, best video I've seen.
Yeah. What's so special about Badlands in particular? Let's just kind of break down a product. Being a pro staffer and representing a bunch of different companies, there has to be something special about a product that, and I mean, let's be honest, some people just become a pro staffer because they can. But it sounds like you take this a little more to heart, and I like to see that aspect more than the other side, is where you actually not only do you want to be on their staff because you like the people, but you also like the product. What is great about Badlands in the first place?
Okay, well, Badlands, first, I'll just say it is badass, just like you said. Yep. They have got the best quality military-grade camo clothing. Their packs are phenomenal. There are probably anywhere from 20, 25, maybe 30 packs. There's so many to choose from. It's literally like being a kid in a candy store. That you've got packs with just your everyday hiking hunter packs. You've got some that you can go out west and pack out a whole entire mule deer out with them. They are backed by a lifetime warranty. Wear, tear, if the zipper breaks, anything happens to they're backed up by a warranty. So it doesn't matter. You always have a peace of mind that if anything happens to that while you're hunting your butt off, you're going to be covered. Because I will be the first to tell you, I am so rough on gear. I will tear holes in it. I'll put these clothes through the ringer when I hunt. I don't know how I'm so hard on it. I really think I'm going easy on all my gear, but I'm really not. But everything is just top notch.
Gotcha.
And I've tried, actually. That sounds bad. I've tried to tear at my gear, but this stuff is ridiculous. It's so awesome.
Gotcha. Well, let's turn it around. Now, what is it that you think Badlands sees in you as an individual that would make you one of 20 people in the whole country that they would want you on their pro staff? What do you think is unique about you?
I guess given my background, I don't like to toot my own horn, and that's kind of a hard question to answer. I hope they see a wonderful person that hunts her heart out whenever I can, because I am out there all the time. I give it 110% when I hunt every time, blood, sweat, and tears. I actually just got back from an Osceola hunt, and I tell you, that is the hardest hunt that I have done to date. Everyone thinks, oh, it's just a turkey, but that was something else. Like, I can't even put into words how hard that was. And I would think Badlands would just appreciate and love my passion for the outdoors. And I love to teach women and children to get out there and, just try hunting. It keeps kids out of trouble. I'm very extremely passionate about this. lifestyle and what I do. So I would say that's probably what makes me stand out from the rest, and that, I got into this by myself. I didn't really have anyone to guide me and show me the ropes. I kind of went with it, and I just gave it all I got, and here I am now. That's
cool. So do you think you would have gotten into trouble if hunting wasn't in your life?
No, because my dad's military.
Right.
He would have kept me straight. But I do believe that it keeps kids out of trouble. It gives them a hobby. It gives them something to be passionate about. A lot of my friends that have kids, they hunt with them, and that's just like a lot of one-on-one bonding, mom and dad, son and father, mother and daughter time. That's a lot of bonding time. And family is very, very important. Family's right. Number one with me. If I didn't have my mom and dad with me now, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, mom and dads can be very important. No question about it. So how does, and I'm sure there are people listening to this who are curious about how one becomes a pro staffer, and I'm sure there's some that are listening that could care less about being a pro staffer. For anybody that just love to hunt and they don't need any of this stuff. Let's say you want to become a pro staffer. Because you have gone through that whole process, what do you have to do? I'm not even sure what that process is. What would you do?
I would say first and foremost, use the product, and if you love it so much that you're like, everyone in the world has got to know about this. Everyone has got to use this. That's kind of what these companies are looking for, is someone that, 110% represents them, puts their name out there, uses it in the field, takes pictures, makes blogs. That's pretty much what they want to see, is you using their name and, telling the world, climbing up on a mountain and saying, use this product. It's so amazing. And that's what I would pretty much recommend, is that you use it and you full-heartedly believe in that product.
So let's say you full-heartedly believe in a product. What do you do then? You contact the company?
Yeah, you can contact them. Sometimes people go, I'm not saying just go straight for like Lee and Tiffany or Realtree and stuff, because those are huge, like phenomenal companies. Just more along the lines of some, and I don't want to say small, but like smaller products, someone that they're trying just as hard to promote their product and social media and stuff, someone that's not as well established as some of the huge companies that are, Realtree and stuff like that today.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
How many pro staff teams are you on?
I'm on quite a few.
Can you count them on two hands?
Yes.
Okay. So less than 10. But there are some products that you really like more than others, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And, I think I have my favorite things I like to use. Dusty has his favorite things. We all have our favorite things that we like to do. So, Kirsten, what's on your favorite things list?
My favorite things list, it just depends on what I'm hunting. Gear, definitely. Badlands, number one. Love my Badlands. Got to have my pack, even if, I have to wear heavier or lighter gear that isn't Badlands. I always have a Badlands pack. They're the most comfortable, versatile bags that I've ever used in my life. Awesome. I could pack literally everything that I need in the woods, anything as small as a knife to camera gear, just anything in between I could carry in those packs. Turkey season, I've got to have my Easy Cut pliers. I always happen to pick the tree with the most branches to lean against, or, if I want to build my own blind. Let's see. Calls. I have various calls. I really like dual game calls, Woodhaven game calls. I've pretty much got everything. Like, if I would never say this, if I own one more piece of or article of clothing, hunting related, or one more hunting anything, I'm going to scream, because I have no room for it in my room. It is horrible.
So you need a bigger, you need your own house, apparently.
Yeah, I do. With like 5 basements.
Right.
That's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've got so much stuff. It's ridiculous.
Let's get into some deer hunting, if you don't mind. Deer hunting is our favorite topic, obviously, being the deer hunting podcast, and I know you deer hunt. So I'd like to break down kind of your formula that you use to be more successful in the field. We kind of like to pick your brain or pick the brains of the hunters that we have on here just to figure out how they do it better. And I know you're a passionate deer hunter. You're a passionate turkey hunter. I think you just like being outside, period, no matter what it is, fishing, hunting, whatever. But I'd like to focus on some deer hunting, if that's cool, and kind of get into how do you approach deer hunting from a philosophy point of view. What is it about deer hunting that you love the most?
I love deer hunting because it is extremely challenging. My favorite part about deer hunting isn't so much, of course, taking a deer is very exciting, especially if it's something you've been hunting for a long time. But my ultimate favorite thing to do with deer is growing deer. I love to do food plots, mineral sites. I do a year-round mineral site for my deer. Food plot. I put out cameras, and I really get on a personal level with these deer. I like I said earlier, I name them.
Right.
I've got particular does that, I'll get to know them so good. I'll know if they'll have, twins that year, if they're just religious about having twins every year, if they'll have singles, how many babies I'll have out there in the spring, roughly how many does, how many different bucks I have showing up day, night. I pattern them. That's my favorite thing to do about deer is because you think you have them pegged to a T, and then all of a sudden they change up their game. So they're extremely difficult to hunt sometimes. That's what I love about hunting. It's challenging. If it were easy, everyone would do it. Or, if it were easy, it'd just be called killing, not hunting. So
Right.
that's my favorite part about deer hunting is growing them and getting to know my deer on a personal level.
Okay. So would you say that Kentucky is the best place in the country to do this?
I would say it's one of the top places to do this. We are a sleeper state. We have a lot of Boone and Crockett deer that we don't get credit for, especially central Kentucky. A lot of the bang is over there in western Kentucky, which that's fine. They could stay over there because western Kentucky has some darn good deer too.
Gotcha. So you're more centrally located. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I'm more central Kentucky, and we still got big deer.
Yes, you do. I agree with that statement. So if you're in Kentucky, and I want Dusty to kind of break this down a little bit, it sounds like you've got a system for monitoring deer and growing deer. And I'd like to have Dusty kind of break that down, talk about the number of acres you're monitoring or managing, and how do you go about making sure that one place is hooked up? How do you find new spots to hunt? Let's kind of break that down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into talking a little bit about Kentucky land. Tell us a little bit about how you approach a property, and tell us if you also have land at your own. Let's get into a little bit about the land and how you get a whole permission to where you hunt.
Okay. Well, obviously where I work at is a very good avenue. I work pretty much at a tractor farming store, so I get a lot of farmers that come in, lots of acreage where they plant either soybeans or corn, pasture, whatever it is. I get a lot of that traffic that comes into my store, and I've been there for so long that, I have a lot of regular people. I know a lot of people in this town, and I've just been so far blessed to have a couple of the guys that come in there that have given me permission. It just wasn't overnight. I've got to talk to these guys over the years and just build a good bonding relationship with them. And they've given me permission to hunt their land, and they're very strict on who can hunt their land. So pretty much if I'm not the only one on there, it's their brother that can hunt it as well. So there's pretty much maximum of 2 people that can hunt, different properties so far that I have permission to hunt. So that's pretty much how I've gotten the land that I can hunt. A lot of them are open. They're not as wooded as I would like them to be just because they are for cropland. They are for beans, soybeans, corn, you name it. So it's very rolling hills, ponds, and it's not very thick wooded, but there are some that have more woods than others.
Right. Let's get into a particular piece of property that you manage. Tell us a little bit about how many acres that, let's say your favorite hunt spot that you got a food plot and mineral site out at. How many acres are we talking?
Okay. One of my favorite places are probably 300 acres. A lot of it is cropland, so we're probably talking about 150 acres or less that I have to hunt, that I put in food plots and stuff for them.
All right. How many food plots do you put out?
I put out one huge food plot. It's pretty much a finger that connects, that goes out and it connects all the other adjoining properties, but it's as well as in the middle of this place that I can hunt.
Gotcha. And what are we putting out in food plot in Kentucky?
I really like the frigid forage, Big and Beastie. The radishes are ridiculous. I love them. Usually because the winters here in Kentucky are generally pretty mild. It doesn't really get really, really cold until after deer season has already ended. So we're talking late January, February, March is our coldest. So pretty much they have good crops. They've got the soybeans and corn late until they're harvested. I put down clover and those radishes, and they eat the clover first, and when it gets really, really cold, they'll have enough food and radishes and stuff for the really cold part of the winter.
What kind of seed? Who's the company that makes radishes that you plant?
It's Frigid Forage, Big and Beastie.
Frigid Forage, Big and Beastie. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pretty much doing all alfalfa and beets there in central Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. And clover. And
a little bit of clover. Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. What kind of mineral site are you putting out?
I like to give them a little bit of everything, a huge smorgasbord of mineral. I kind of pay really close attention to the minerals I put out. I really like loose mineral. For one, because when it rains, it soaks into the ground and it stays there. And I really find it more beneficial than, like a block of salt. I've kind of used this just customers because I do sell deer mineral at my store. Mm-hmm. I kind of use this as just kind of a visual. You have a lollipop in one hand and you have pop rocks in the other. If you take a lick of the lollipop, you're only going to get a little bitty taste of, sugar. Whereas if you eat a handful of pop rocks, you're getting all kinds of sugar. So I really like loose mineral because your deer are physically ingesting that calcium, phosphorus, and all the other goodies that you put out for them. Mm-hmm. I just make sure that it is close to an adequate water source. I like the 13% calcium and above. That's pretty good. And anything with a 30% a 30% sodium and lower is phenomenal too.
Gotcha. So you're saying that a water source close to your mineral site is a good way to set that up?
Yeah. I think it's good because I use loose mineral, so they're ingesting a whole lot more, and that way, I would want water near me if I'm eating a bunch of salt.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So whenever you get out your food plot and you get out your mineral site, what do you think sees more activity throughout the season?
What sees more action?
Yeah, the more activity, the food plot or the mineral site?
Oh, early season mineral for sure, and then late season is the food plot. Awesome.
Yeah, it seems to be two good resources to bring the deer to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't baiting in Kentucky is legal, but I do not bait deer. I just give them the mineral that they need and the food plot they need to survive throughout the winter.
Right, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the layout in Kentucky, a little bit about the land and how it's formed and what kind of timber is there. Can you tell us a little bit about your area, what the land's like?
Mm-hmm. Most of it is rolling hills in Kentucky, but we do have areas that are very steep cliffs, hills, and hollers. I've kind of, with all the areas that I can hunt that, they're kind of mixed equally. There's one place that I can hunt that's just a straight drop off. And there's big deer down in there. But if I'm going to go down there and shoot one, I'm going to have a time pulling one back up. And then there's some places that are just pretty much flat or really soft rolling hills. And then I've got some areas that are just a mix of everything. In Kentucky, we've got a lot of oaks. We get a lot of acorns and the fall. Pretty much we got a little bit of everything as far as trees.
Awesome. Let's get in a little bit about your gear setup. Let's talk about your pack. If you carry a pack to the woods, I'm guessing you're a Badlands Pro Staff,
I
so
do.
assuming that you carry a pack. Let's run through the list of items. Let's say it's a week before season. What are you putting in your pack to get ready for season?
A week before season, it's going to be hot, so definitely I am packing all kinds of scent killer spray, anything to help scent.
Any particular
water,
brand?
of
There?
course.
Any particular
Just
brand?
scent killer.
Scent killer. Okay,
I
like
really
the
seem like-
99.9.
I really like scent killer. They're a great company.
Is it the earth scent or just the no scent? Tell us what kind of scent it is.
Just the gold. Just either one. If it's scent color, it's pretty good.
Gotcha.
I do use earth scent, but more so I use just the plain scent killer.
Gotcha. Do you use just the sprays or do you use the wafers also?
I use wafers and anything scent-free that I can wash with. I'm bathing in it religiously all through season, just because kind of with my work schedule, sometimes I do have a little bit of time to wing it and run outside after work. So I'm always, all through season, I'm taking a scent-free shower.
Right. Okay, I want to ask you a question here. Being a female huntress that you are, is there any particular scent killer that you found that's more gentle for your skin?
More for your skin. There are a couple companies out there for girls. There's Southern Belle. Theirs are really nice. They've got a conditioner. Scent Killer has released something for women that has conditioner and lotion and stuff like that. I seem to really like those.
Gotcha. So Southern Belle.
Yeah, they've started their own scent-free line.
Okay.
There's I believe it's Bucks and Beards. I haven't tried them yet, but they have a scent line or scent-free line out.
Okay, yeah. I'm just curious if there's something that a brand out there in particular that is more female-based that you could recommend. I know what we had before, Jay Doe Girl. They was into the scent-free and
Doe Girl.
Yep.
Yeah, Doe Girl. And Her Non-Scents, I heard is a good one. I just have used the Southern Belle one, and it's really good on my skin and hair.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. That's a question that we usually don't get to ask very often. What's a great for the skin for a female huntress? And that's perfect. Thank you. So let's get back into the pack. We've got the scent killer, and what else we got?
We've got water. We've got knives. I've got my Easy Cut clipper. That way I can cut limbs. Always carry face paint just in case. Early season, I'm going to have broadheads, arrows, release. I always pack 2 releases just in case. Thermocell, because early season mosquitoes are just, they'll eat you alive.
I hear Kentucky has mosquitoes the size of little chihuahuas down there. Is that true?
The size of little chihuahuas. we have mosquitoes, but I will tell you that they are not nearly as big or as painful as the ones in Florida.
No kidding.
I'm still healing right now. I am covered head to toe with mosquito bites. I'm trying to heal.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound fun at all.
Oh, absolutely not. What kind of camouflage are we wearing when you hit the woods?
Real tree. I love my real tree. I do have both, but I'm a real tree girl.
What do you mean by both?
I'm not sponsored by any company, camo company, so I just kind of whatever fits and what works for me, just because I am a girl, and it is sometimes hard to shop and find stuff that fits and it does its job, then I'm happy.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm sure it is hard for being a female hunter to find comfortable camouflage.
It is.
I think it's getting better with time, though. That seems to be ahead. It's headed in the direction that it's going to be more female friendly.
Yes, absolutely. Prowess is a really good company. They've got all kinds of women's clothing. Haley Vine has something. Badlands is, everything fits me just wonderful. So, of course, Badlands is what I wear.
Absolutely.
And just some other things that I found at Bass Pro or Cabela's that seem to fit just fine.
Right. What kind of tree stands are you using?
I have a couple. I have Muddy and a couple odd and end things.
Mostly
hang-on? Mostly hang-on. I do have a Summit Climber.
Okay.
They do so far have the lightest climber on the market. It's very hard for someone that's my size, 5'4" and 130 pounds to find something that I can carry through the woods and not kill myself trying to get to a tree and try to climb it and be wore out or anything from carrying it.
Right, absolutely. I understand that. Mostly hang on tree stands. Do you have any particular areas that you have climbers or actual tree stands, ladder stands in?
I don't particularly have any ladder stands. I just have the hang-on. And
Gotcha.
When I hunt Fort Knox, I use my climber. Climbers are wonderful. You can hang them on any tree you desire, just as long as it's a sturdy one and it's alive.
Right, yeah.
I've walked miles on Fort Knox with this tree stand on my back, this little summit, and it's light. It doesn't get too heavy over time, and I can successfully carry my bow, climber, and pack out there and be just fine.
Very nice. So that's made by Summit then.
Mm-hmm. There's a mini Viper and a Viper, and I have the Viper.
Gotcha. It's a Summit Viper. Okay. So we ran through your gear. The ultimate question, what kind of bow are you packing to the woods with you?
I have two bows. I have a Hoyt Vixen, and I have a Spirit that is an elite Spirit.
Gotcha. What kind of arrows?
I have Ted Nugent arrows.
I'm assuming they're carbon fiber.
Yes.
Gotcha. And is there any particular broadhead that you like to tip the arrow with?
Yes. I pro staff for Dirt Nap gear. They are great broadheads. They are very sharp, very durable through Jeep doors, and they're still just fine, and you can slap them on another arrow or keep them on the same arrow and shoot something else.
And that's Dirt Nap?
Dirt Nap gear. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And is that a fixed or mechanical broadhead?
It's a fixed.
3-blade?
It's just the regular. It's like just a regular arrowhead. It's not.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay, it's the actual fixed one solid arrowhead looking broadhead.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And it's extremely sharp, and it's got bleeders on them, and I've cut myself a time or two with them. They're very sharp.
Okay,
very
and
durable.
you say that they shoot them through a Jeep door?
Yeah, one of the owners, he made a video and was shooting through a bunch of things to prove the strength, and they had a Jeep car door, and they shot through it and did no harm to this broadhead.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's a solid broadhead.
Pretty incredible.
That is a solid broadhead. You're shooting through vehicle doors with it and still able to go on to the next hunt. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, you want to get into the hunt a little bit?
Yeah, Kirsten, let's go hunting. Let's go deer hunting with you. And
okay.
Let's go. I want you to tell us a deer hunting story. Like tell us about your best deer hunting story. When I say that, where are we going? Where in the country are we going to go deer hunting?
Let's see. We're going to stay in Kentucky.
Okay.
There was a farm long ago that I had permission to hunt, and it was one of the first properties that I had. And scouting these deer out on this property with cameras and mineral sites, I had probably a 145 class 11 point. He was a very, very old deer, just from the pictures. He had a big pot belly, big Roman nose, so he was at least 6 years old or older. And he was very short-tined, but he was at least 24 to 25 inches wide, and he had 11 points. And the first time I ever saw this deer on camera, I cried. I could not believe what I was looking at. I called my boyfriend, I called my mom and dad, and I was like, you don't understand the size of this deer. I've never seen a deer this big on a property that I hunted, let alone, had a chance to, say, this is on the farm that I can hunt. I'm going to hunt this deer. So I was ecstatic about this. I named him Old Man just because he was such an old deer. And
nice. The old man buck. I love it.
He was beautiful in velvet. I mean, this deer had bases the size of Coke cans. He was enormous to me. This was the biggest deer that I've ever laid eyes on personally on a property that I could hunt. And he was in velvet, and he had a 2 or 3 year old deer with him that was equally as nice. He wasn't as wide, but he was really tall. And every picture that I got of this deer was right at dusk and at night. And every picture that Old Man was in, the other nice deer, he was smaller, but I think he was like an 8. both deer were always together, and they were both in velvet. And this particular year, September 1st was opening day of bow season in Kentucky, and I had pictures of him every single day, every single night, right at dusk, every day of August until September 1st. So going out September 1st that morning, I was so excited. I was like, this is going to be an easy hunt. You know, this deer is going to be here. I'm going to shoot him, and I'm going to shoot my first deer in velvet. And I hunted that morning, and I hunted that night, and I never saw the deer. So I got to scouting, and I kept pulling cards on my cameras, and I didn't see this deer again. So I was kind of heartbroken because I didn't know where this deer went. So that was September 1st, and I hunted, you know, all of early season trying to search for this deer.
What year is this again?
This is, I think it's 2011.
Okay.
This was like my first or second year that I actually really got into bow hunting. And I hadn't seen this deer again until October 31st on Halloween. I got him that night on a trail camera that was completely on the other side of the property. And he was out of velvet, and he looked a lot smaller. And I was like, that's Old Man. That's him. He's still alive. So November 14th or so was whenever rifle season come in. I was determined to get this deer with a bow. I wanted nothing more than to get this deer with a bow. And I wasted all of my, I won't say wasted, but I chose to use my bow instead of a rifle during the whole entire rifle season. So all during rifle season, I heard shots all the way around me, and I never saw this deer. And I even passed on some really nice bucks that people would not pass up on. Probably, you know, for me, 125 and above. I mean, these were just super great deer for me, and I've never, you know, shot anything that big. So I passed these deer in hopes of shooting Old Man, this 11 point. And but I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw one of my friend's friend that was posing with Old Man. He had shot him during rifle season. And I was just completely heartbroken. My heart just shattered in pieces. But that's the way it goes. You know, sometimes deer just cross over into other properties, and you don't own deer. They move around a lot, especially during rut. And I did not get a deer that year. I got a doe, but I did not get a buck. And I learned so much that year hunting and scouting, and this deer threw me through the ringer and taught me a lesson. And I have learned to I know we get dead set on deer all the time, but I've really learned a lot from that deer that year. And, you know, just pretty much I learned how deer can move from one place to another during rut, chasing does, food sources. And even though I didn't walk out successfully with that hunt, I was very, very honored to pretty much scout that deer and chase him for a little while I could. And for him being so old, you know, that was pretty cool to have such an old deer on your property like that.
Yeah. It's not all about the kill. And that's something we often get preoccupied with, I think, and, you know, reading magazines, watching television. That's not what it's all about. Far from it.
And that's why I decided to share that story too, is because, you know, that's probably one of my most memorable hunts. I didn't even get anything, but just the passion that I had and desire and want and will to chase this deer. I was so determined to get him with a bow, and I worked so hard. And I saw some other great deer along the way, and I passed them, and I can only imagine how big they are now if they made it, you know.
Right.
And it's so rewarding because it's not always about the kill; it's about the chase.
Right. I mean, the kill is the final icing on the cake. A kill of a big deer you've been hunting for a while. Definitely. I mean, there's something special about that you can't explain. But there's also something very special about the hunt, to the point where the kill often becomes anticlimactic. It's almost like, now what? You know, I hunted so hard for this deer, and I'm so psyched I have him, but at the same time, there's almost like a let off, like, oh.
Yeah. So, and it taught me to be not so much like a better hunter, but, you know, it's kind of like whenever you have a kid in softball, you can't win every single game. You got to know how to lose too. And just feeling so defeated and so upset that I didn't get that deer. I grew up a lot that day. I sucked it up, and I was like, well, that's how it goes. It took me a little bit to get over it, but
right.
that's truly how it goes. You got to learn to lose too in hunting. And a lot of people don't think of it that way as a sport, but hunting is a sport, and we have to be very, grateful to be able to hunt these animals. They're very smart, and they can outwit you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They'll beat you more than you'll beat them. No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, yeah. More times than not.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a great message. That's a great story to tell on the Big Buck podcast, that it's not always about the kill. It's about the hunt. And that sometimes they just go that way. And that's just the way it is. So you hang out at a lot of these shows with some big names, Jenna Waller. You hang out with the Drurys, Taylor Drury, Brittany Glaze. You hang out with a lot of big names. Where do you want to take your outdoor industry career? Is there a place you want to take it, or are you just happy doing what you're doing?
Truthfully, I am happy with what I'm doing. I don't plan to be anybody famous or anything like that. If it happens, it happens. That's what God, put in front of me, and, that's what's going to happen. But I just really enjoy hunting and sharing my experiences with other people that enjoy to do the same thing that I do. Like, there's such a huge passion there, and to connect with someone else that has the same exact passion, and it's not bigger than you, that is just the most amazing feeling ever. Really being able to talk to someone and understand exactly how they feel, and being in a room full of these people, like at the ATA or NWTF, we're there for all the same reasons. We're there because we love to hunt. We enjoy it so much.
Right.
And if I go somewhere with it, then I would be tickled. But honestly, I really enjoy just sharing my story with, all my followers on Facebook. I just enjoy telling them and hearing from them. God, it just melts my heart whenever, parents send me photos of their little girl with a bow for the first time. That's what it's all about to me. And if I can continue to do that, then I am so happy. And I'm happy now. But whatever happens, happens. I will try to continue to go to ATA shows and, continue to put my name out there and all my hunts and stories. So I'm completely satisfied with that.
That's awesome. Now, your grandmother just turned 101, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, in February. She was a Valentine's Day baby. She turned 101 years old.
That's crazy. How old are you?
I am 23.
Are you going to hunt till you're 101?
I am going to try. If that's the way it could go, I will be damned if I do.
That's awesome. I can definitely see that. Dusty, you got any last questions for Kirsten before we let her go?
Yeah, Kirsten, I want to hear your number one hunting tip.
My number one hunting tip, that if you can dream it, you can do it. As cliche as that sounds, if you have the heart, the will, and the desire to do it, you can do it. I'm a girl that didn't know how to hunt at all. I taught myself. I heard a lot of, you're a girl, you can't do it. And here I am. I'm a girl, and I am doing it. And I'm pretty darn good at it, if I must say so myself.
All right.
So, awesome. That's a great tip.
If you can dream it, you can do it. The sky's the limit.
Nice.
Don't let anybody hold you back from doing what you want to do.
Now, if you had to recommend one device or tool that you think is better than all, that you got to have with you when you hunt, what would that be?
That's a good one. You're going to make me pick.
Got to pick one. One thing that you're really bugged if you forget it in your truck.
Deer hunting?
Deer hunting.
It would have to be Scent Killer. If I forget that, I'm doomed.
Gotcha. All right. And is there one hunting book that you would recommend, that you would say, this is the book you got to read, this is how you're going to be a better deer hunting? If you're going to read anything, you got to read this. Is there a book out there that you would read?
There's not necessarily a book out there, but lots of magazines have really good articles in them.
Okay.
And that's where I learned a lot of what I've learned, is because most articles are, someone interviewing another person, and they're giving their aspect and view on hunting.
Right. And which is there a certain magazine you read more than others?
Just bow hunting, bowhunting.net. They put out a lot of good stuff with products and reviews as well. Pretty much anything that's got a deer or a fish or a turkey on the front of the magazine, I read it.
Gotcha. You're a outdoor magazine junkie. Got it.
Yes.
Yep.
And YouTube. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube.
Yes. God bless YouTube. It's fantastic. Kirsten, this has been great. I really have sincerely enjoyed speaking with you and getting your philosophy and perspective about the outdoors, and love your passion. I share it with you, and it's very special and part of my life. Always will be, and I can relate. I can relate to everything you just said and told us about tonight.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed it as well. I love talking with people that, have all the same passions and desires that I do out in this hunting industry and hunting world.
Cool. Thanks for being on the Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast.
Thank you.
Just talking to Kirsten makes me feel better about myself.
Absolutely. The energy, man, such great energy and truthfulness. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. She tells a great story. She's incredibly passionate about hunting. She's gonna. I swear, she's gonna hunt till she's 101.
Oh, I believe it. Absolutely. Something she loves to do. Something that she thoroughly enjoys. And man, I tell you what, she loaded me up on that story.
Yeah.
I was loaded up. I was all jacked up. Man.
I was ready for the trigger pull.
that was a great part about the story, though.
And then boom.
Yeah. It was
the reality set in that that really is hunting.
Yeah, it was real.
Right.
It was one of the most honest stories ever told on the Big Buck Registry.
Right.
And we love that.
Right.
Not that all other stories wasn't honest, but this one was like from the heart.
From the heart. And
it meant the world to her that this buck was in the area.
Right.
And then reality, she learned from the hunt and the whole atmosphere of how the hunt went down and what happened in the end. But truthfully, as tough it is to admit, it's going to happen to all of us at some point in time.
Always. Happens every year. It's going to be your missed opportunity. But you learn so much from those opportunities to the point where those missed opportunities don't come all that frequently anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're just ready. So
yeah, I like the way that story ended. Really, I did. It was reality.
It was. And thank you so much to Kirsten for joining us on the Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast. Dusty, do we have a Chubby Tines tip of the week? Last week, we were talking about painting your tree stand now, which I thought was a great tip. You got anything lined up for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to get into something that I'm personal about. And, yes and no, people do this already. And it's something that a lot of us know to do. But, if you're a young listener and maybe not have a light experience, let me tell you this. If you got a great buck in your area, you're catching it on trail camera, keep that buck to yourself. Don't be posting it on social media. Don't be flying that buck around. Maybe you're an older hunter that just getting into it. The more low-key you can keep the buck you're after, the less pressure that you're going to have around that buck. Does that make sense, Jay?
I completely agree. Social media is great for certain things, but it's awful when you're trying to keep a secret.
Yeah, you're trying to hunt this mature buck, and your friend finds out where you're hunting at and gets on the property next door, and now he's hunting this great buck, and then they tell somebody, and then the property that's behind you now is being hunted by somebody that knows about this great buck. Just keep that great buck personal.
Right.
If you got somebody you can trust to tell them.
Send in the picture after you kill the deer, not before, because you probably won't if you do.
Yeah, it's just one of them things where over the years that, when I was younger, I was super excited to show everybody in there what kind of bucks were in my area. Now, I don't think you could pay me a significant amount of money to find out what bucks are in my area. You may be able to ask my wife and find out, but I ain't talking about it.
Right. Yeah, just don't do it. Crazy, man. Crazy. Well, let's see. If you're listening to this show on iTunes, I would love for you to do a quick search. Go right over to that search button. Say, type in Big Buck Registry and find this podcast and leave us a review. And that would be awesome because we don't get that many reviews, but I know a lot of people listening are on Apple devices and have the capability. We just haven't heard from you yet. And I would love to hear from you. So if you could, just leave us a review.
Yeah, it's a great way to tell us what you think about the show. Negative or positive, we want to know.
Right. We want to know how to make it better. So just
absolutely
be honest. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Big Buck Registry. If you'd like to be famous for a day and highlight and feature your buck that you shot last season, we would love to see it. Send it into bigbuckregistry.com/mybuck. And if you'd like to give us a call, 724-613-2825. Check us out over at the Outdoor Podcast channel now at outdoorpodcastchannel.com and on iTunes. And Dusty, how can we find you?
Facebook.com/Chubby Tines Outdoors. You can also send me an email right here at the Big Buck Registry at dusty@bigbuckregistry.com. And man, I'll tell you what a great show, Jay.
Loved it. Absolutely loved Kirsten's passion and energy. And it's going to leave me high for at least a week and a half. Minimum.
Yeah, what a great ending and a truthful ending to a great story. That's hunting. That's why they call it hunting, not killing. And it's one of them things where Kirsten taught us something there that it's not all about the kill, and that's something that's often overlooked.
Right, exactly. Well, man, I'm Jay Scott.
And I'm Dusty Phillips,
and this is the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Deer Hunting Podcast. See you next week.
Can't wait.